Hey guys, it's me, Pamela from Memphis FoodTrotter.blogspot.com. It's been a while, but I really wanted to do this video because I was really craving some of these. So we're going to attempt to make some tamales. Now, the tamales that I have eaten, I've usually thought the matzah dough was too thick and there wasn't enough filling, or it wasn't moist enough, like it was really dry. So I'm going to try and remedy some of these things and make tamales that I feel like would fix some of these issues that I have with tamales that I have eaten in the past. So we're going to see how this works out. I am going to use a few non-traditional Mexican ingredients, just based on my own preferences. So we'll see if my tweaking some of the ingredients will affect it severely. So wish me luck. And if you want to see how I make some chicken with a red salsa and cheese tamales, then stay tuned. First, I'm going to work on my stuffing or filling. I'm going to fill it with one of my favorite dishes called tinga de pollo, or chicken tinga. It's normally made with shredded chicken breast, but I'm going to do dark meat instead for moisture and flavor. So I boiled 5 chicken legs, and once those were cooked, I saved the liquid, and then I'm just going to shred the chicken leg meat. Next, I'm going to thinly slice half of a white onion. I think this will add a nice little texture and a little bit of a sweetness into our tamale filling. Now I'm ready to start cooking. So I'm going to heat up a large nonstick pan and coat it generously with some olive oil. I have been using grapeseed oil lately, which I really like. So heat that up, and then once it's heated up, then we can start adding in our thinly sliced white onion. And you're basically going to cook this down until it's tender. It starts to turn a little caramel color, and this is really going to add a nice sweetness to our filling. Once my onions have been cooked out, I'm going to add in a can of peeled whole tomatoes with their juice. You can use, of course, like crushed tomatoes. I have some cans of crushed tomatoes. However, this is the can that I have. If you want to be really fresh or have really fresh ingredients, then of course you can just blitz up a few Roma tomatoes. However, I'm just using what I have, and because I know, of course, the whole process of this is quite going to be long, I decided to cheat where I could cheat. So I'm going to add in the can of tomatoes. I'm going to try and break it up a little bit with my spatula, but I think I'm going to have to let it cook down a little before I can fully mash it down. And then you're going to need a small container of the chipotle peppers and adobe sauce. So I'm using, I believe, about 4. I think I took about 3 or 4 of the chipotle peppers out. And of course, I let some of the sauce come out, the adobe sauce, with a little bit of the onion that's inside of the can. So this is going to add heat to our tamale. So I'm going to put all this together, and then I'm going to add some seasoning. I'm going to do a little bit of salt. Be careful if your can of tomatoes already has salt. Start off with a little bit of salt first, and then you can taste as you go. Then I'm going to add in powdered garlic, and then cumin seeds. If you have ground cumin, that might be better. All I have is whole cumin. So I'm going to do a nice generous sprinkling of that. And I also have coriander powder, so I'm going to add a sprinkling of that as well. Now I'm going to turn the heat down low, and I'm going to put a lid on it to let the flavors kind of come together and the tomatoes cook down. And once they've kind of cooked down into a nice little sauce, I'm going to leave it still a bit chunky because I feel like it's going to go well with the rusticness of tamales. And I'm just going to mix things together, and then I'm going to add in my shredded chicken, and then I'm going to put a top on so again the flavors can kind of come together. While my chicken tinga finishes cooking, I'm going to go ahead and prepare my corn husks. So I've taken about 15 corn husks, place them in a bowl, and I'm going to pour boiling hot water on top, and this is to soften up the leaves. So I'm going to let it sit in the hot water for a while until they soften up. The chicken tikka should be done by now, so I'm going to turn off my heat and just let it sit on the stove. The next part of my filling is going to be mozzarella cheese. You can, of course, use any stretchy cheese you want. I think this will add, again, more moisture to the tamale, and I personally just like stretchy cheese. So I'm going to cut about half of a block of 8-ounce mozzarella. So this is the matzo dough part that I'm scared of, because if this doesn't work out, then the whole tamale is kind of ruined. But I'm going to try it and see what happens. So in a large bowl, 2.5 cups of matzah, 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Then I'm going to do 1.25 cups of chicken broth. So the reserved chicken liquid, that's what I'm going to pour in. And then instead of a cup of lard, I'm going to deviate and do a cup of my grapeseed oil. Now I'm going to start mixing with my spoon until it comes together. And then I'm going to start using my hands and kind of lightly knead it just a little bit to make sure that the texture is kind of like a sponge, to where it can kind of hold together and not immediately fall apart. So some people just spread the matzah mixture onto the corn husk, but I want kind of like an even thin layer. That's what I prefer. So I don't have a tortilla press. I'm going to make a makeshift one. So first of all, I'm going to cut a large gallon Ziploc bag to where it's not connected anymore. And then I'm going to roll together a large golf ball size of the matzah, put it inside of the Ziploc bag, and then I'm going to use my Pyrex dish to kind of flatten it out, kind of like the size of like a corn tortilla. I'm going to line a baking tray as my workstation. So I'm going to take one of the corn husks out, and then the softened corn husks out, and I'm going to place my flattened matzah onto it. I'm going to press down just to make sure that it's kind of even and thin. And then I'm going to add in my filling. So I'm going to take some of that chicken tinga out and put it in the center of my flattened matzah. And then I'm going to add in 1 or 2 slices of the mozzarella cheese on top. So you will see me fiddling around with the whole wrapping portion. However, I finally figured out to just use the husk to fold the 2 matzah sides upon each other. Some tamales I've eaten, when I open it, the layers of the corn husk, there's like matzah dough in between the layers of the corn husk, which to me is like a waste of the matzah. So I'm just using the husk to fold the matzah upon each other, and then I'm gonna wrap the corn husk around, and then wherever the seam is, that side, that's where I'm going to fold the little tail end up. And then I'm just going to keep wrapping all my tamales up and lining them onto my big tray until they're all done. So not only did I do a makeshift tortilla press, I'm also doing a makeshift steamer. So I do have a large pot, and I am going to add about 2 inches or so of water on the bottom. And then once that boils, I have this metal steamer basket that fits right on top. I'm going to place it on top, and then because it's kind of short, or the tamales are taller than it, I can't stand the tamales straight up, so they're going to be kind of crisscrossed inside of my colander. And then I'm going to wet a towel, cover the top of all the tamales, and then I'm going to place a lid on top, and then I'm going to turn my heat on low so that it steams. Mine I let go for about 1 hour and 20 minutes, but you can start checking at about 1 hour, and it might take up to 1.5 hours for it to be fully cooked. If there's no matzah sticking to the corn husk, then it is ready to eat. Mine took an hour and 20 minutes. So an hour and a half of steaming later, I do have my first tamal that I've made for the first time. Of course, I've eaten tamales before, but this is the first one I've made. And I did deviate a little bit with the matzah and the traditional stuffing. But I really wanted to try and make the tamale moist because I really don't like dry tamales. And I love chicken tinga, and because I added whole chipotles in there mixed in, it was a little spicy, so I want to cut it with a little bit of cheese. So I also use the cheese to try and help with the moisture as well. So we're gonna try and taste it and see how my first tamale making went. I am a little nervous, I have to say, about the matzah. So, not bad. I feel like definitely the tinga is not the spiciness of it. When I had just cooked it myself, totally went away. I really got nullified by the matzah and the cheese, so I feel like I definitely could have punched up the spiciness of the tinga, or even omitted the cheese, although who doesn't love gooey cheese? The matzah itself, it could have done with a little bit more salt. And perhaps because I, again, deviated from the traditional recipe of a matzah, it's a little bit gluey, I guess. So it's smooth as far as the texture. I was scared it was going to be crumbly, but I don't know if it was because of the olive oil, but it's a little bit gluey, kind of sticks a little bit to the roof of my mouth. I mean, it is cooked because it did come off of the wrapper, so, or the corn husk. So it's not bad for my first attempt, have to say. Pretty proud. But definitely I will punch up the flavor of the filling because the matzah dough does definitely nullify some of that spiciness. But overall, I'm pretty proud. So this is my late night snack. I'm lesson planning, so this is perfect for me right now. Don't let the tamales intimidate you. Just find a filling recipe that you love. You can probably just do that the night before if you wanted to, and then you can combine everything and cook it the next morning ready for lunch. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and watching me try out my first tamale recipe. Check out the links in my description box. Thank you guys for those who have subscribed. If you like these sort of videos, please press subscribe. Although this past few weeks I haven't been able to really do that many things on my channel due to going back to work and everything, but hopefully I can add some more videos sooner than later. And thank you guys again for watching. Talk to you guys later. Bye.